Some people think I know everything there is to know about CSS, but I have a feeling that there's some new and upcoming things that even I'm not aware of yet. Hello, my front-end friends. Thank you so much for coming to join me once again. And if you're new here, my name is Kevin, and here at my channel, I help you fall madly, deeply in love with CSS. And the State of CSS survey is still open for a little bit longer. And one of the best things with this survey is you always find out about new things that you didn't know about CSS before you started it. So I'm going to be diving in and answering this and seeing the things I don't know about CSS, but I'm also going to encourage you to fill it out as I go through this, or after I fill it out, or pause the video now and you go through it and then find out if there's things that you knew that I didn't know about, because I guarantee you there's a few in here I have no idea about. So yeah, I'm going to jump in and go through the knowledge-y parts of it, and then we'll see from there what the rest of the survey is all about. So we're going to dive in here, and here's the website, the State of CSS, their cool logo. I love it so much. And we're going to take a look, and you can just see a special shout out to Leah Vero. So thank you for working on that, Leah. And let's go and jump in and start the survey. Now, there are a few things. You can do it as a guest, or you can have an account. If you're doing it with an account, you can come back later if you don't finish it. And there's probably a few other things. I think you can get access to your previous results and other stuff. So just to say, choose whichever one you are more comfortable with, and then we can jump right in. And actually, before we get into this, I just want to, I always get questions about what the purpose of this survey is. And one nice thing with it is, because it's been running for a number of years now, we can actually start seeing trends with usage of certain CSS features out in the wild, rather than just hearing about things as they're coming out. And then maybe you don't really know, are people using this in reality or not? But it also shows what people are interested in for features that aren't fully supported yet, which actually does have an influence on the browsers. The browsers do decide to work on things often based on interest from people like us that are making websites, and they can see the signals coming from surveys such as this one to see if there's a big feature they're missing out on, and we can try and get all the browsers working on that thing at the same time. So here, first up, Subgrid. If you know me, you've known I've used this, one of my favorite things, and I'm looking forward to everybody having that, which shouldn't be too much longer. CSS writing modes, I've definitely done it. You can change the writing mode. Logical properties, I use them regularly. Aspect ratio, love it, such a good feature. If you're looking at any of these going, what are they? There's tons of content. Always start with like MDM, just copy and paste. Like your content visibility, I've heard of it. So this is a bit tricky because I've heard of it. I definitely haven't used it, but I don't know if I could even say I know what it is. I know enough that I'm going to put that, but this is one of those things where you'd copy that if you've never heard of it, and then you do a simple search. Before I do the search, I want to see if I'm right or not. It's this thing where if something's off screen, like it won't render it. It'll render it. You're saying like, oh, this isn't, we don't need to render this right now because it's off screen and it's slowing my page down, but we'll save it for later. It's still there on the page, and we'll render it after, like if the user scrolls into view, or maybe there's something you have to do to switch it. I don't know too much on that. So in a way, it's similar to display none, but I think it keeps the content there. I haven't used it, so I'm not 100% sure. So content visibility, MDM's already at the top, but often I'll just add that to make sure, and then I'll read about it. So yeah, so it's using containment. So it might even be part of the containment spec, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not going to deep dive any of the things here, but I'm going to leave that open so I read about it a bit more. And actually, I often take notes when I go through this survey on other things, if there's something new that I haven't seen, just to remind myself that I should do it. So gap property, I've definitely used the gap property all the time. At container, just made some videos on that, so I've definitely used at container. That's container queries. If you're not too sure, they're amazing. Definitely check them out. Browser support's coming along. So object view box. I can't say I remember object view box. Object view box inset, but this looks a little bit familiar. I'm gonna say I've never heard of it, because if I have, yeah, I don't know what object view box is. MDN. So not the view box. We're gonna see. Okay, so it's object fit. No. So I'll just put CSS here and see what comes up. Look at that. We're going CSS tricks instead of MDN. So my guess is it's not really available yet. Oh, you can sort of crop an image based on the view box. So a lot like a clip path in a way. It's no signal. I mean, I don't know how old this post is. Anyway, cool. Something else to keep open and look at. Definitely, if I have heard of it, I don't remember it. Viewport percentages, viewport percentage length units. SV, LV, DV. DVH. Okay, yeah, okay, I know these. So that's the small viewport, the large viewport, and the dynamic viewport heights and widths. This is for anyone who's on iOS that's annoyed with, like, you know, when you scroll and the viewport actually changes in size because like the bar moves out of view. This takes it into the dynamic viewport will adjust whether that the UI components are there or not. Small will assume they're always opened, and large will assume they're always closed. So I have played around with it and stuff, so I will put I've used it. I planned a video around it, but I just never have done one yet. But I did a demo and everything to show it off, and we never did. Media query ranges. Yes, I have used that. Cool. And that's just like the new syntax where you can use greater than, less than, and equal to and stuff like that. Be nice once that's a bit more well supported. Mixed blend modes I've definitely used. Filter effects I've definitely used. Yep. Backdrop filter I've definitely used. Intrinsic sizing I've definitely used. Conic gradients. I'm terrible with them. I don't quite understand them because I haven't done enough with them, but I've definitely have content, or I've definitely used them, and I think I even have content on conic gradients. I think everything on that page I might have an individual video on, actually. I'm not 100% sure. Color, I have not used it, but I know what it is. If this is color-related features, I'm guessing most of them I know, but I haven't used yet. A few of these I'm excited by. If you're on Safari, you would be able to do these because Safari has support for these, whereas the other ones don't. But yeah, you can choose like different color modes and stuff. So I know what it is. I haven't used it yet. Accent color I've used. There we go. That's for your form elements like these circles. If it was a regular radio button, which it might be, I'm zoomed in right now. So you can change the color, the accent color of the blue there. Current color I've definitely used. That's the OG of custom properties. Color mix is one that's, if you come from preprocessor world, you'd be familiar with, but it's coming to CSS. So I know what that is, but I haven't used it. Basically, you can mix multiple colors together, and you can even choose what algorithm you're using to mix it, which does change how the final result comes out. So interesting stuff there. Wide gamut colors, LCH, I'm really looking forward to. That's going to be awesome. But I haven't played with LCH yet. Relative colors, so this is another one. I know what it is, but I haven't used it. But basically you could say like, it doesn't have to be the custom property. You can just say like, here's my color. I'm going to keep my hue, my saturation, but my lightness we're going to modify by multiplying the L times 1.2. So we're saying like, start with it from this color, make a new color by modifying, and you can choose your hue, your saturation, your lightness, different ways and stuff. Looking forward to that. Could be interesting. Not so much to be like hard coding these things in necessarily, but you probably have like custom properties even for the adjustment levels you're doing and quickly do stuff. I don't know. I'm sure there's some smart people that are coming up with good use cases. Gradient color spaces. I just saw a Twitter post on this. I forget who posted it, but it was showing the different gradients or the same gradient in different color spaces, and how, because it's the in between the colors, like how do you decide what the colors in between are? And so you might have a really cool 2N gradients that gets muted or not very nice in the middle. A different color space would actually make the colors look nicer. So you can choose the different ones for that. So yeah, that's another one that will be handy. Interactions, scroll snaps I have used. Over scroll behavior I have used. Touch action. I have used it, not very much, but I have definitely used touch action in the past. I should do a video on touch action, but I have not done one yet. Scroll behavior I've definitely used. That's like smooth scrolling in one line, which is amazing. Scroll bar gutter I've also, yes, okay, I was thinking of the scroll behavior because there you have your scroll margins and scroll padding. Scroll bar gutter, I've played around with it. Basically it's like, I'm in Firefox now, so I don't have much of a scroll bar, but if I was in Chrome, I'd have a thicker scroll bar. But know when you're on like a page that doesn't have the floating scroll bar. So anyone on iOS or Mac doesn't have to worry about this. But if you're on a Windows computer that has the scroll bar on the side, and you have a page that does have the scroll bar, and then another page that doesn't, or you change the content and it gets longer and the scroll bar comes, and it can actually cause the content to jump because the scroll bar takes up space on the page. This can sort of help deal with that. even though there's drawbacks to it as well. It's not perfect, but it can be handy in the right circumstance, I think. Typography. Font display. Fallback. Never heard of it. I don't do a lot with font face, to be honest, so it doesn't surprise me. Font display. Font display. Oh, maybe font display. Okay, so you know what? I've used it. I just didn't realize it was font display. Have I done it in a different way? Is there a way to do this? Control this in other ways? I'm gonna leave I don't know because I don't do enough of font face, and I know it's sort of about how when the font downloads, like what actually happens. So like, do you want to block it until the next thing, like the downloaded font is finally downloaded and available? You have a small period before you will swap it, so you have a chance of having that flash font style text. Extremely small. Okay, so yeah, just different settings for how the downloaded fonts are going to work and when they come in. Line clamp, I don't know if I know line clamp. It sounds like something super familiar. I've definitely never used line clamp or line clamp, CSS, MDN. This is where sometimes you actually look stuff up and you find out that you have used it on the, oh no, I haven't used line clamp. I thought it would be different than that. So that's clamping how many lines you're like truncating. Oh, I've had a lot of people asking me for that. I'm leaving that open. So if you had, like you're saying, clamp at 3, so if you had 10 lines of text, it's always going to stop it at 3 and just put the ellipsis after, I'm guessing. I'll have to look up that one a bit more. Variable fonts, I've used them. I've been promising a video for like 3 years on those, so I should probably do it. Font palette, I have never heard of font palette. I'm not going to look it up now. It looks interesting and looks like there's different ways of setting up colors. MDN, CSS, let's just put that there and we'll come back. I'll come back and make a video on that. I don't want to deep dive any of these too much. Accessibility, prefers reduced motion. I've definitely used it. Prefers color scheme. I have definitely, prefers color, yeah, I've definitely used that. Reduced data, I have used. Color contrast, I know what it is. I thought this would fall under color, and accessibility does make sense. Basically, you can say like, I want to use this color. Versus olive, yeah, okay, so this is the color that my text will be, and these are 3 different options for background colors. Which one am I, you choose the background color that will give me the best contrast. This is going to be so amazing. I'm really looking forward to this. I hope I'm not getting that backwards. It's very possible that these are all colors of text and this is the background color. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, basically it's going to just make it easy to get higher contrast backgrounds. And like you could put in like a range that are all very similar and it will just choose the right one, or you could do completely different colors. Depends what you're after. But color scheme, I have a video on that one. Basically it will change like, well, the backward, like it changes the user agent styles. Brain broke on that one a little bit. It changes the user agent styles to either a light or dark as a default, even including your form elements. So it's not to like actually do, well, you could just use the defaults, but it just sort of sets the stage nicely. Prefers contrast. I knew we had that. I've never used it though. But basically if somebody prefers like a high contrast mode, you can make something that works for them. Forced colors, I've never heard of that. So that's another one to write down. I'm going to put this on another tab just so you don't have to see me opening tabs. Never seen forced colors. I don't know. I guess we're just forcing a color. I'm not entirely sure, but well, content to come. Focus visible, I have definitely used. Yeah, focus visible sort of, I think, become the default actually for buttons and some other things, at least in some of the browsers, but it's what you wanted a lot of the time focus to be. So if you have a button and somebody clicks on the button, it used to gain focus where you could tab to it, but you didn't really want it to gain focus if somebody clicked on it. You only wanted it to get the focus ring on it if you tab to it. And that's sort of what focus visible does, is it's more based on like getting to it through other ways than clicking. Marker, I've definitely used. It's a nice way to style your list items. I've just made a bunch of videos on that. Where, I love it. I've done some stuff on that. Has is your parent selector, just in case you didn't know, but it's a lot more than a parent selector. It's not just a parent selector. The where is sort of the no specificity selector. And yeah, lets you group group stuff together, basically. Super cool. The brother or cousin, or I guess the sibling of where would also be is, which is the same thing, but it includes specificity, whereas where does not include specificity. Variables, yes, I use them all the time. At property, I've used it. I haven't made a video on it because I'm waiting for browser support to get better, but basically it allows you to tell the browser what a custom property is, which is really cool because it's going to let us do like animated gradients and stuff really easily that we couldn't normally do. Waiting for that to come along. At supports I've used. So does the browser support this? Not interesting example, but does the browser support this feature? If yes, then use this code. And yeah, wheel change, I've used it. Be careful with wheel change. It's only if you have performance issues, because it can actually slow things down if you overdo it. But basically you're letting the browser know that something will be animated or something will change within that element. So it can like preload what's going to happen there. So if you're getting like janky animations or something, it could help you out. Find a better solution. And if there's no better solution to your jankiness, then maybe wheel change is what you want. Comparison functions, use all the time. Love them. Cascade layers. Yes, I've done a video on it. Don't use them very much, but I've definitely used them. Shadow DOM, I know what it is, but it scares me, but I know what it is. This, I know what it is. I haven't used it. I don't know if I know how to use it because sin, cos, and tan I never got into math. So, but from what I've seen, they're going to be super useful. And I think some people will be very excited to have them. So yeah, we're going to have trigonomic functions in CSS soon. CSS nesting, I've used it. I've used it as part of SAS and other stuff, but I think the syntax is still being debated on this, on exactly how it's going to work, but maybe they've come to a conclusion on it. But it's on the way. Image set, yes. I've run into problems with image set actually when I was playing with it, but it was a while ago, so maybe I should look into it again. I wanted to do a video on it, and it just didn't want to work, so I never got around to it. But yeah, maybe that's something to put at the top again. And basically, it's sort of like using source set on an actual image, but you can do it for background images, which is super cool and could be very useful. Image. You know what? I've seen image come up in like the auto prefill. You know, when you're doing it and like you do background image and like one of the options is there, but I've never used it. And I don't know what the difference between image and URL actually is. I just know you don't use image, you use URL instead. I feel like I should know, especially because I feel like it's been around forever. It looks like you can use some coordinates, X, Y, width, and height, which is interesting. So I'm putting this in a tab off to the side. I feel like I should know something on that that I don't know. I'm looking really fast. What's browser? Oh, okay. No browsers currently support it. That makes me feel better. I was just like, but yeah, it looks. My guess would be you can define like a range with the height and like something. Anyway, well, I'll have to look into that one more because I definitely never have used it or really know what it is. Now I'm actually going to stop there because then we're going to get into frameworks and then CSS and JS. I'm going to fill all of this out on my own, but I want you to go now and fill out the survey on your own. And part of the reason I don't want to go through this is I don't want to influence other people's opinions because a lot of this is, do you know this? Yes, no, or I've heard of it but never used it. The rest of this, there's a lot of opinions coming in. So Bootstrap, do you like it? Never heard of it. I've used it, would use again. CSS in JS, other tools like, do you like styled components? Do you like JSS? Do you like styled JSX, etc., etc.? There's gonna be some stuff on SAS, on less, other tools, your general usage, you know, all sorts of stuff like that. And I don't want to influence people's opinions on that. So I'm not going to show you my results for those things, but definitely I want you to go and fill all this out because it does help. We see trends in it. And as I said, if the trends are pointing in certain directions, the browsers will influence the decision making that the browsers make and some other stuff along the way as well. And it's just, the results are always super interesting. I'll make another video when the results are available. So yeah, the link to it is just down below. Go fill that out. And with that, I would like to thank my enablers of awesome, Jan, Johnny, Michael, Mr. Dave, Patrick, Simon, Steven, and Tim, as well as all my other patrons for their monthly support. And of course, until next time, don't forget to make your code on the internet just a little bit more awesome.